Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode, and it's Monday. So we're doing another WandaVision. This is part three? Hopefully it's part three. We left off on where did we leave off on? It's been a very long week, and I was supposed to do this last week, and I didn't, and it was supposed to be pre-recorded, and it wasn't, so I don't remember where we left off. If you want to figure out where we left off previously, it was before the Halloween episode. So yeah, let's jump right into it. You're listening to Utter Animus' podcast. I'm Lulu, your host, and this is a Midnight Binge. Happy Halloween in July. So we have left off on episode All New Halloween Spooktacular. It is Halloween in Westview, and there is a tangible rift between Vision, who is slowly processing and working out what's happening in Westview, and Wanda won't admit anything is different. And unfortunately, this has created a very, very tangible rift between the two of them. On the other side of the hex, Monica is livid at what Hayward's done, as in ordering the execution of Wanda. But Hayward is convinced that killing Wanda is the only way to stop what's happening in Westview. But Wu, Darcy, and Monica are afraid of what the repercussions might be if they continue to basically poke the bear. And on the other side of that, yes, we're going to keep jumping into Westview and into the other side of that. Wu, Darcy, and Monica have been tracking Vision through vibranium decay. And Monica now has the bright idea that she wants to re-enter the Hex. And they're all incredibly worried by what this might happen. What might this happen? What might happen to Monica if she does re-enter the Hex? Because the Hex rewrites everything. It alters the molecular structure of everything. And she has already entered previously, so she's already been altered in a way. What would happen if she enters a second time? Could this end up rewriting her DNA? And that's what they're afraid of. But however, Monica is very firm on her re-entry. She wants to re-enter. She wants to try and help Wanda and basically stop Hayward. Darcy, who has been hacking into SWORD headquarters, has found a file labeled Project Cataract. They have no idea what this is. It's just something Hayward has been working on. Now, on the other side of this, in Westview, Wanda opens up to Pietro about feeling alone and hopeless. And this is a very serious conversation that she's having with Pietro, or Westview's version of Peter. Vision is still investigating the boundary of WandaVision, investigating the boundary of Westview, and he runs into Agnes, who is like stuck like some of the other people who keep repeating movements, because once again, this is the boundary of Westview, and Wanda's vision doesn't extend that far. So basically what these people are doing is literally just reenacting a movement, like a set of movements, just repetitively. They just keep doing like putting up lights or opening, closing doors. And Agnes is stuck in her car at this boundary of Westview, and Vision ends up waking her up. And right away, Agnes recognizes Vision as an Avenger. Now, Vision doesn't have memories. He doesn't understand what this means to him, and he ends up, after restoring Agnes, who turned creepy for a few seconds, becomes determined to walk out of this barrier, walks out of the Hex, and he literally begins to decay as soon as he hits the barrier of the Hex, as soon as he tries to push himself through. Darcy, who can see what's happening because she was recaptured by Hayward, tries to help. I don't know how she's trying to help. She's literally handcuffed to a car, but she's going to try and help. Billy, who is with his mom, senses what Vision is doing and lets Wanda know. And to save Vision, Wanda expands the boundary of the Hex. And as all of this is happening, Monica re-enters Westview. And now that's the end of the episode pretty much. But there is an incredibly fun fact that was really, really cool for me anyways, is that all of the main characters, Billy, Tommy, Pietro, Vision, Wanda, they are all dressed. Their Halloween costumes are actually classic versions of their comic book selves. So I thought that was really a really neat detail to figure out how to fit into like their classic costumes and have a fun little like thing with this. It was really neat. It was really cool. Even little, I think I always get the twins confused. This is why they're twins. One of the twins has his classic on, and then the other twin is dressed up similar to what Pietro would wear in his classics. So that was really cool. So the next episode is called Breaking the Fourth Wall. Wanda and Vision, after Wanda basically saved Vision from disintegrating, they are now having marital issues. Wanda literally wakes up in an empty bed. Vision is somewhere, and she's actually even still in her Halloween costume, even though we're now in a different time in Westview. And she is angry and even guilty about the events that happened Halloween. And she says she wants a quarantine style vacation. And that's pretty much what everyone has been doing for the past year. Westview keeps changing. The twins end up complaining that their game keeps changing from like a Wii, a GameCube, Atari, and even Uno cards. And this isn't the only thing that's suffering from time alterations. Even the milk, as Wanda is pouring herself some, I think she was pouring cereal or coffee, one of those two. Even the milk that she's pouring is cycling through timelines. And Pietro is nowhere to be found because of what happened the night before, because Pietro made the snub of Vision pretty much being dead. Wanda disowns him. Well, it's not really actually Pietro anyway, so it doesn't matter. Vision wakes up back in the Hex, and he has been thrown into a literal circus. And he recognizes Darcy, who is also in the circus, because don't forget, she was tied up to a sword vehicle when the Hex expanded. And so Vision takes it upon himself to wake up Darcy because he does recognize her. And they steal a vehicle to get back to downtown Westview and to Wanda. Now, once again, outside the Hex, Sword is scrambling after losing so many of their staff to the expansion of the Hex. Hayward is attempting a retreat with the remaining men he has available, while Monica and Wu receive an email from Darcy before she went into the Hex about Project Cataract. Now, a couple things. Project Cataract is a project that's being overseen by Hayward, in which it attempts to bring back a version of Vision. As previously discussed, this once again breaches the Sokovia Accords and Vision's living will. Even though technically it wouldn't really have broken the Accords or the living will, because the attempts thus far have been failures. But I don't know what the Sokovia Accords really, like what their specifics are about AI tech. I know that we talked before that any kind of AI tech that is being built is against the Sokovia Accords thanks to Ultron. But since they've been failures, is it a technical breach of those accords or even Vision's living will? I don't know. I don't know what the technicalities are, but yes. Monica's friend, Major Ali Goodner, comes bearing gifts. Specifically Sword's most heavily armored truck to get through the Hex safely. In theory, of course. As they prepare to re-enter the Hex, the vehicle literally just collides with the barrier. I nearly clapped, just an FYI. That would have probably blown your eardrums. Now, Monica realizes really quickly that the Hex is altering the vehicle as it enters, and it's matching the density of the rover. Now, Monica just abandons ships. Like, she just completely abandons the rover and breaches the Hex on foot. She is bombarded with resistance and just these colors and lights, and is also confronted by multiple versions of her Westview counterpart, Geraldine. When she emerges finally from the Hex, we can tell that she has changed. Her eyes have changed colors. She has been altered in some way. While we don't know much about Monica's abilities, unless obviously you have followed the comics, my theory, not taking the comics into account, I will repeat that, not taking comics into account. My theory is what we're seeing in WandaVision with Monica, her powers might be on par with Captain Marvel. Now, I'm not saying in strength-wise, I'm just saying in the alteration of DNA and just alteration in molecules, that type of thing. Back to WandaVision. Darcy is explaining to Vision about what happened to him. She's literally giving him a download of his entire life, including the parts that he forgot. Tony Stark's bodiless AI assistant Jarvis, to his birth to Ultron, and ultimately his death at the hands of Thanos and even Wanda. Vision remembers none of this. And he wonders about how he is truly alive in that moment and what his purpose is. And Darcy is assuring him that Vision, the only thing that he should worry about is Wanda, and that he and her are meant to be together, but unfortunately the universe just keeps pulling them apart. After some oddly placed obstructions block the path to Westview, like kids crossing the road and that such, Vision actually flies back and goes, "Never mind, we are doing this my way." Now, Monica and Wanda have confronted each other back in Westview. Monica is trying to warn Wanda about Hayward's plans, but Wanda wants nothing. She doesn't want to hear anything about it, and they angrily butt heads, and their subsequent fight actually spills out into the streets of Westview. Monica is attempting to reach Wanda by citing her own mom's death and how she understands Wanda's own pain and grief. And you have to remember that when she was Geraldine, she literally had Wanda in her head. So she understands on a much different level than maybe Wu and Darcy. Well, before Darcy became a Westview enthralled, I guess you can call them, that she had Wanda in her head, and she could probably, in the way that she described it in the previous episode, is that she could probably feel her grief and her pain. However, before Wanda is literally brought around, Agnes appears and escorts her into her house. Now, we get a view of Agnes's home, and it isn't warm nor is it welcoming. Bugs are crawling in the curtains, rabbits are eating paper, and Wanda's kids are nowhere to be seen. Agnes reassures Wanda that her kids are simply downstairs. However, when Wanda does go downstairs, she is met with this gothic-type lair, and her kids are not there. And of course, Wanda is very, very unhappy that her kids are nowhere to be seen. Agnes is not actually Agnes. Her name is Agatha Harkness, and she is a witch. Enthralling Wanda, Agatha shows Wanda visions of her manipulative actions to the catchy tune Agatha All Along. Meanwhile, Monica is snooping around Agnes's, I mean Agatha's house. Is that her home? Anyways, and then she is caught by Westview's version of Pietro. Now, we are going, that's the end of that episode, and next one is Previously On. Now, this is the episode this is the episode prior to the series finale, and it gives us a backstory for Agatha. Agatha was placed on trial by her own coven and mom, by the way, who is the coven leader in 1699. I cannot talk. It was just like the anomaly thing in the last episode. So she was put on trial by her coven and her mom in 1693 during the Salem witch trials. She is being accused of using dark magic and has been sentenced to death. Agatha is able to escape by absorbing the coven's power and killing them all, her mother included. Now, Wanda tries to attack Agatha only to have her attempts thwarted by runes that are covering the entire lair and on the walls that have been literally look like they've been carved into the walls. Agatha reveals that she is fascinated by Wanda's abilities, and she wants to know the origins to her powers. So we're taking down a trip of Wanda's memories, and we meet a very young Pietro and a young Wanda with their parents in Sokovia. Now, we know this story already, having heard the story during the Age of Ultron. So Sokovia is in the midst of a war, and we can actually hear gunfire during this episode as they sit down to watch Wanda's favorite sitcom, The Dick Van Dyke Show. A bomb tears through the house, and it doesn't explode. Like I said before, we know this part of the story from Ultron, but what we didn't know is that Wanda may have had innate abilities even that young, that she was born with abilities. Basically, she could have been an X-Men. Let's just say that. Now, Agatha digs deeper to go to basically Hydra. Once again, we know some of this, but we do not know everything. We see Wanda and her brother are being experimented on. More specifically, they're being experimented on with the Mind Stone. Wanda was the only survivor of this particular experiment. Mind Stone enhanced her natural abilities, the abilities that she was born with, and also gave her the ability to rewrite reality, which we saw a glimpse of when the Mind Stone exploded. Once again, Wanda survived, but all of the data that was being recorded was erased, and it was sort of like glitched out, which we have seen during the WandaVision episodes. Agatha is quick to comment that Wanda has lost everything. She has no one in her life. This was a comment towards when we find out that Hayward lied about the events that happened at Sword HQ. So Wanda did break into Sword HQ, but she did not steal Vision's body. Hayward explained that they couldn't release his body to Wanda because of the vibranium, and to keep the tech out of reach of others, effectively making Vision Sword's property. But now, when we see this, we have been told so many versions of this story, but now that we are being shown Wanda's memories of this version, we understand now why Hayward wanted to keep a lid on this. After leaving Sword HQ, Wanda drives to Westview. So she always had the intention of going to Westview, to an empty lot that was meant to be Vision and Wanda's home. Vision actually bought this, and it was meant to be where they would live their days out. Overcome with grief, literal power explodes from her. This power enthralls the town people, constructs a home, creates the hex, reconstitutes Vision from thin air, and converts present-day Westview into the 1950s sitcom, and effectively we end up where episode 1 started. Agatha calls Wanda's magic chaos magic, and that this magic makes her the legendary Scarlet Witch. Little sidetrack here, which we have, this wouldn't be a little one because we've been sidetracking this whole episode. This is the first time outside of movie credits that Wanda has been called Scarlet Witch. Up until this point, she's either been referred as the twins because of Pietro and Wanda, they're twins, or simply by her first name, Wanda. We have not had anybody utter the name Scarlet Witch up until this point. We get a mid-credits roll in this episode, and it shows a white Vision waking up. Hayward was able to complete the cataract project by using Wanda's residual energy from the destroyed drone, completing the project. Series finale. So everything comes ahead in the season and series finale. I cannot talk. Wanda attacks Agatha, and her kids have magically reappeared, Billy and Tommy, and she attacks Agatha in order for her kids to escape. Now, Agatha tries to strike a deal with Wanda, and the deal is she absorbs Wanda's chaos magic and then allows Wanda to live in this fake paradise of Westview with her fake family. Hayward is boasting to Wu that without visual proof, like actual physical proof of Vision being reconstituted, I should just said resurrected, reconstituted, and with the termination of Wanda, now we know why he wants to kill Wanda and why he's been so adamant about it, because it would cover everything up. Without that proof, Hayward gets off scot-free, not scotch-free, meaning he wouldn't have breached anything legal, such as the Sokovia Accords or Vision's living will. Now, Wu, being FBI, threatens action. If he continues this route, in this cover-up of the Maximoff anomaly, Wanda is able to temporarily subdue Agatha. However, she is confronted by the White Vision. You know that White Vision that from the previous episode? Yeah, him. He makes a magic appearance. Dude's creepy. Vision, our Vision. Oh, this is going to blow my brain. Okay, I need to figure out how to say Vision. White Vision. You know what? I'll call him WandaVision because he's Wanda's Vision. So White Vision tries to kill Wanda while Wanda's Vision saves her. And Wanda expresses regret for the Maximoff anomaly. This is the first time we're figured that she's finally having light bulbs pop in her head, that she's having regrets doing this. But Vision understands why she did it. All she wanted was her family back. All she wanted was Vision. She had lost so much in the span of just a few years that all she wanted was a normality. And she sought comfort in these sitcoms because they reminded her of a safe time. That's how her and Vision bonded. That's how her and her family had nice memories, and the days were sitcoms. So they end up preparing to fight in order to protect their home. Agatha versus Wanda, Vision versus Vision. Oh my god, my brain. So inside Agatha's house, there is still Monica. Monica is still there. She is confronted by the Westview version of Pietro, who we find out is an actor named Ralph Bonner. And he was hired and controlled through a puka necklace by Agatha. So in order to basically revert him back into his real self, Monica removes the necklace and Pietro is now Ralph. And it turns out that he is actually the owner of the house and not Agatha. So yeah, outside the Hex Swords Retreat base, Wu has been caught and is being interrogated by Hayward. Jumping right back in. Now Agatha releases the controlled townspeople, her enthralled. And now the townspeople have woken up. They are not complaining. Complaining is the wrong word, but begging and pleading with Wanda to let them go. Affected by the pleas of anguish by these people, she releases another force of energy, but very similar to the energy that she used to construct Westview. And it becomes bands of energy, like thin bands of energy around everybody's necks. And she begins to suffocate them. Now, Billy senses his mother's outburst and he grabs Tommy and tries to rush to her aid. Now, Wanda, seeing that what she's doing, once again, this goes back to her misuse of her abilities. She quickly releases all the townspeople and begins to destroy the Hex because she knows now that what she did was wrong. The barrier opens up and Hayward takes this chance to have his soldiers storm in to eliminate Wanda, once again going through with his plan to terminate her. As the Hex begins to fall, Vision, Tommy, and Billy begin to disintegrate. Once again, they are only there and the Hex pretty much protects them, as we have seen with Vision when he tried to go through it. This causes her to stop. She stops removing the Hex. The Hex is like falling apart around them and she just stops mid-hold. The Maximoff family is now together. Billy, Tommy, Vision, and Wanda. And they are now standing their ground to stop Hayward's people, the White Vision, and Agatha. Now, Agatha does a dirty and ends up attacking the troops. And Wanda tries to cushion all of these falls and tries to protect these people, even though they're there to kill her. While Wanda and Vision go after White Vision and Agatha, they leave these two little kids to take care of Hayward's soldiers. Now, you remember, Billy's telekinetic, just like Mom, and Tommy has super speed, just like his uncle. He will basically just, throw him into jail, hopefully. And so Hayward gets the bright idea of just tossing Wu aside. So Wu escapes and contacts his FBI allies in Quantico. Back inside Westview, Agatha ambushes Wanda and reveals that the Darkhold, which is a witch's grimoire that Agatha currently owns, has an entire chapter dedicated to the Scarlet Witch. According to the grimoire, according to the Darkhold, it says that the Scarlet Witch is forged and isn't bound by coven or incantation. So basically, that everything that binds Agatha to basically the real world wouldn't bind Wanda if she turns out to be the Scarlet Witch. Now, I'm working off the hypothesis that she isn't, even though I know she is. Just hang in there with me for a second. The Scarlet Witch is so powerful. She is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme, which was they are able to redirect Hayward's troops to aim their guns at Hayward. Now, Hayward gets out of the car with the intentions of shooting the kids. Monica appears out of nowhere and blocks the bullets except for one, which thankfully Billy is able to catch. Quickly, he gets into a nearby vehicle so he can run them over. Yeah, smart idea, dude. But Hayward is thankfully stopped by Darcy, who hits him with the food truck. Go, Dr. Lewis! So meanwhile, the two Visions are duking it out somewhere on the other side of Westview. And they find themselves in a library. They decide to stop fighting and negotiate peacefully. You got to remember, both of these guys are incredibly intelligent AI technological things. Like they can sit there and discuss. White Vision declares that his prime directive is to destroy Wanda's vision. However, neither of them are actually Vision. Agatha's mom in her coven in 1693 and is destined to destroy the world. Now, Wanda rejects any similarities between her and the Scarlet Witch, even though, unfortunately, Wanda has had a lot of issues controlling her abilities and trying not to destroy things. We have seen this on so many counts. This is why Wanda feels so guilty about so many things, because she always attributes her misuse of her powers and her miscontrol to all of this. Yeah, take that into account. So with none of them being the actual Vision, they are now in a stalemate. White Vision never had the Mind Stone. Remember, he was created by the residual energy from a destroyed drone, so he never had any of that. He has no of those memories. However, Vision has these memories, Wanda's visions, but they have been altered or even removed to fit the peaceful narrative that Wanda wanted. He theorizes that his true memories have been stored somewhere else in order to maintain control over the both of them. Not just one, but both of them. Wanda's vision, White Vision's memories, and he thus becomes the real Vision. Yeah, my brain hurts. Like, this show, your brain will explode. And because of this, because his prime directive has probably been overridden, he flies out of Westview. He just goes away. Wanda's vision rejoins Wanda and the boys so they can fight Agatha. So with, once again, the Maximoffs reunited, Wanda ambushes Agatha and casts the illusion. You got to remember, Wanda's primary abilities throughout the entire Avengers films was to create illusions and basically control minds. And she puts Agatha back at her execution in 1693. The corpses of the deceased witches have been slowly resurrected, but instead of attacking Agatha as they were meant to, they recognize Wanda as the Scarlet Witch. Now, I think, once again, this is Agatha's, her own powers working against Wanda. Agatha once again offers Wanda the deal that she can keep playing house if Wanda gives Agatha her chaos magic. Wanda agrees to it. She's like, cool, screw it. You can have it all. Because all it has given her is bad luck and destroyed everything she has ever loved and touched. So she literally bombards Agatha with all this power, and Agatha just continues to absorb it. Vision tries to interfere because he knows that if she continues doing this, it will effectively kill Wanda. There is no upside to this story. So as the fight goes on, as Wanda keeps bombarding Agatha with her power, she becomes weaker and weaker, and even her physical appearance begins to change. Her face is becoming more drawn. So take what Agatha did to her coven, and that's what's happening to Wanda. She's becoming mummified. So at what appears to be the end for Wanda, it is actually only a diversion. Agatha is winding up to attack back, and she finds out that she can't. Her powers just go boop. Nothing's happening. Her powers do not work. During the fight, Wanda casted the runes that were in the lair of Agatha physically onto the hex. Now, how these runes work is that only the caster can use her or his abilities, meaning Agatha cannot use her abilities as long as she remains in this zone area. So Agatha, knowing that she's been essentially beat, tries to convince Wanda that she needs her. that she can teach Wanda spells and what it means being the Scarlet Witch. However, when Wanda once again isn't hearing anything of Agatha, and she absorbs all her powers back as well as Agatha, and she begins to transform into Scarlet Witch. This is when we actually see a physical transformation. With Agatha beaten, she warns Wanda about the unparalleled abilities that the Scarlet Witch has, and if she doesn't get a tutor, she will effectively destroy everything. Wanda is once again no stranger to destroying everything she has ever touched. But once Wanda doesn't care about this right now. She doesn't want that, and changes Agatha into her Agnes Westview persona and effectively traps her into Westview. The hex now begins to break down again, and the Maximoffs return home so Wanda can say her final goodbyes to her family. She puts the boys to bed, thanking them for letting her be their mother, and as they go to sleep, Vision and Wanda go to another room as the hex barrier continues to shrink, continues to disintegrate, and they share a very heartbreaking moment when Vision asks what he is. And Wanda shares her answer, and it's kind of a very heartbroken answer. She says that Vision was a piece of the Mind Stone living within her, that he was a body of wires and blood and bone that she created, and he encompassed her sadness, her hope, and above all else, her love for him. He mentions that who knows what he might be next, considering he was a voice with no body, a machine, and not human, and now a memory made real. As the barrier starts to close into the house, Vision says that they've already said goodbye, so now they'll say hello. And it's so cute, and I cried. With the hex gone, Vision, Tommy, Billy, the house, Wanda's version of Westview disappears with it. So she walks back downtown to Westview, and the people who she once controlled are absolutely glaring at her, and she doesn't hold any grudges against them because she knows what she did was wrong. But she's able to find Monica, and Monica mentions that with Wanda's power of resurrection, she would have brought back her own mother without probably a second thought. And Wanda obviously apologized for everything that's happening, admitting that she still has a lot to learn in regard to her powers. And we have seen her once again struggle with her abilities. So when an authority figure pops up, Wanda and Monica say their goodbyes, and Wanda leaves Westview, pausing at the welcoming sign before leaving. Now, in the mid-credits scene, we see Monica reunite with Wu, who has taken over the investigation from Hayward. Hayward has been caught and is now being escorted out of a local theater in handcuffs. So yay! An agent comes out and says that they're waiting for her inside, or specifically Monica. And when she goes into the theater, there's no one in there except for one agent and Monica. Now, the agent says that she was sent by a friend of her mom's and reveals herself as a Skrull. Now, we can only think of that friend of her mom's as Nick Fury, and she asks, where does he want to meet? And the Skrull simply just points upward, and Monica smiles very knowingly and very excitedly, and that was like the end of that. We do get a post-credit scene in this one. We are shown that Wanda lives somewhere incredibly isolated, and we see her sitting on the front porch waiting for a kettle to boil. Now, we watch as she goes inside to pour herself a cup. However, we leave that version of Wanda and go into a study to see Scarlet Witch studying the Darkhold intensely. However, she is abruptly interrupted when she hears Billy and Tommy call out for help, and the scene ends. Restores. Also, aesthetically, it was interesting how they approached the style of sitcoms, which was a callback to Wanda's safe space. They made her feel safe even at home, and had significant importance not only to her childhood with her parents, but also a moment with Vision when they bonded. In my opinion, I think Marvel's focus on traumatized persons and how they handle said trauma, obviously Wanda didn't handle it too well, but she tried, is managed pretty well, even if sometimes they are obviously superpowered. Now, there are still shows coming out with Falcon and the Winter Soldier out obviously now, Loki out now, Black Widow just came out, which I have watched every one of them. There'll be eventually episodes on those too. I can't wait to see what else Marvel has in store for what's coming out next when it comes to the movies, when it comes to other miniseries, or just series in general. I can't wait to see what else is in store, what other tidbits might be coming out as we see with the movies coming out, with more rumors coming out and such of that. What are your thoughts on WandaVision? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? I would love to hear from you guys. Okay, I am ending it there. So obviously check out my articles that are in reference to these podcasts. Please consider supporting this podcast either at Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon. And I will catch you guys later. Bye. So here are my final thoughts, because I didn't want to make a part 5 on this one, so I'm going to try to be quick. WandaVision kicked off the Disney Plus miniseries, and it was beautifully done. Not only did we explore Wanda and Vision's very complex relationship, we also explore the trauma Wanda went through after losing her parents, brother, and lover, as well as she tries to understand the significance of her abilities. This is also the first time, once again, that we hear Wanda being called Scarlet Witch, which was never uttered out loud previously. We only saw that in the credits. Obviously, these shows are meant to be gateways for future movies and future works of Disney Plus or Disney Marvel. And this one, more specifically, is supposed to be a gateway show for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which Elizabeth Olsen, who plays Wanda, has been verified to be Wanda Maximoff and Scarlet Witch as well. There are a lot of neat Easter eggs, which I've already said a few times, such as the classic costumes that were worn at Halloween, the advertisements, which I did not really talk much about in this podcast, that were played during the show, which was really, really cute. It was really cool. They were a neat additive. They were all a lot of Easter eggs within themselves. So, for example, the toaster, which blinked similarly like the bomb that fell on the Maximoff home in Sokovia, and even Wanda's speed pregnancy. Now, once again, I try not to take too much in account when it comes to comics, because sometimes things are altered to fit the movie's narrative. Some things are left along the wayside. And Scarlet Witch is a very complicated character because she's had a lot of origin stories. So her speed pregnancy, a lot of people were saying, was related to Mephisto. And now this isn't the first time that we've seen a Easter egg or Easter goodies in regards to Mephisto. Now, I won't get much into it in this one. This could be referred to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and even Loki, that we've seen sort of hidden tidbits about Mephisto. I don't know if he will be the next baddie. I don't know. And with What If coming out, there might be a lot more Easter eggs hidden within that. So overall, I think I will rate WandaVision a 4.2 out of 5. It was a wonderful addition to the Marvel Universe. It focused on secondary characters that weren't typically a strong focus in the movies.